Words, A1 Level Story. İkinci sınıf ünite 1 dinleme, listening. In a small town, there was an artist named Anna. One day, Anna saw a colorful balloon outside her window. It was so pretty that she decided to draw it. While drawing, Anna got an email on her computer. It was an invitation to a picnic at the camp. Excitedly, she packed some yogurt and a lemon-flavored cake from the cafe. At the picnic, there was a quiz about animals. Someone asked, "How much does a kangaroo weigh?" The answer was a kilo, and everyone laughed. They played games and enjoyed the sunny day. Suddenly, they heard music from a nearby garage. A group was practicing judo and dancing. Even the doctor from the local hospital joined in, showing off some dance moves. After the picnic, they went to the market. There, they found a plastic zebra and bought it as a souvenir. They also stopped by the wagon selling vanilla-flavored ice cream. In the evening, they visited a restaurant where an orchestra was playing. The music was so beautiful that it felt like being in an office. They talked about the day and wrote notes in their passport about the wonderful time they had. As they walked home, they passed by the football stadium. The sport had stopped for the day and people were heading to the train station. On the way, they talked about the funny gorilla in the film they saw on television. Finally, they arrived at their homes, feeling happy and content. The town may have been small, but the day was big and joy and laughter, making it a special place to be. Abone olmayı ve sevdiklerinizle paylaşmayı unutmayın. Görüşmek üzere, hoşça kalın. Topic: Friends, A1 Level Story. İkinci sınıf ünite 2, dinleme, listening. One sunny day in a friendly town, Tom walked into a park. He saw a person sitting on a bench and decided to greet them. "Hi, good afternoon," Tom said with a smile. The person on the bench looked up and replied, "Hello, good afternoon." Tom wanted to make a new friend, so he asked, "What's your name?" The person smiled and answered, "I'm John. What's your name?" "I'm Tom," he replied happily. As they chatted, they discovered they both enjoyed spending time in the park. Tom asked, "How are you?" John responded, "I'm fine, thank you. How about you?" "I'm okay," said Tom. "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" John agreed. "Yes, it is. I love coming here to relax." They decided to take a walk together and continued chatting about their favorite activities. As the sun began to set, they said their goodbyes. "Goodbye, John. It was nice meeting you," Tom said. "Goodbye, Tom. Let's meet again," John replied. Tom walked away feeling happy. He made a new friend, and the simple greetings and questions had turned a regular day into a special one. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Kendinize iyi bakın. Görüşmek üzere. Topic: In the classroom, A1 Level Story, listening. In a bright and colorful classroom, there were students eagerly waiting for their art lesson to begin. The teacher, Mrs. Johnson, greeted them with a warm smile. "Good morning, class. How are you today?" she asked. The students replied, "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson. We are fine, thank you." As the lesson started, Mrs. Johnson gave simple instructions. "Open your sketchbooks and draw a balloon," she said. The students enthusiastically took out their sketchbooks and began drawing. Sarah, a friendly girl, turned to her neighbor Tom and said, "Thanks for lending me the colored pencils, Tom." Tom smiled and replied, "You're welcome, Sarah." Mrs. Johnson walked around the classroom, giving encouragement and thanking students for their efforts. She said, "Thank you for painting the ball so creatively, Tim." Tim beamed and said, "Thanks, Mrs. Johnson." Later, Mrs. Johnson asked the class to cut out their drawings. Johnny, who was new to the class, looked a bit confused. He raised his hand and said, "Excuse me, Mrs. Johnson, can you show me how to cut the paper?" Mrs. Johnson kindly responded, "Of course, Johnny. First, take your scissors. Now, cut along the lines of your drawing like this." She demonstrated and Johnny nodded, saying, "Thanks, Mrs. Johnson." As the class continued, Mrs. Johnson gave more directions. "Now, let's turn the page and draw a big smiley face. You can turn your paper left or right." The students eagerly followed her instructions, turning their papers and creating delightful smiley faces. After the activity, they thanked each other for sharing colored pencils and helping with the drawings. The bell rang, signaling the end of the art lesson. The students gathered their belongings and said, "Thanks, Mrs. Johnson." "You're welcome." They left the classroom with smiles, excited to share their artwork with their families. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Görüşmek üzere, hoşça kalın. Topic: Numbers, a one-level story, Grade 2, Unit 4, Listening. In a small classroom, there were several students eager to learn and play. The teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, stood in front of the board and asked, "How many students are there in the class?" Tom eagerly raised his hand and answered, "There are 5 school bags." Mrs. Rodriguez smiled and continued, "That's correct, Tom. Now, how many books are on the desk?" Sarah, who was sitting at the front, replied, "There are 7 books." The teacher nodded and said, "Very good, Sarah. Now let's talk about numbers. Can anyone tell me how old they are?" Tim raised his hand and proudly said, "I am 7 years old." Mrs. Rodriguez continued, "Excellent, Tim. And how about you, Lisa? How old are you?" "I am 7 too," Lisa replied. As the lesson progressed, Mrs. Rodriguez pointed to various objects in the classroom. "Now, let's name the objects we see. What is this?" she asked, pointing to the board. Johnny answered, "It's a board." "That's right. And what about this?" Mrs. Rodriguez pointed to a pencil. "It's a pencil," replied Emily. The teacher continued, "Now, let's count the crayons on the table. How many crayons are there?" Tom counted and said, "There are 4 crayons." "Great job, Tom. Now, let's name the numbers from 1 to 10, Mrs. Rodriguez said. The students chorused 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As the class ended, Mrs. Rodriguez thanked the students for their active participation. "You all did a fantastic job today. See you tomorrow." The students gathered their belongings, each with a smile on their face, proud of what they had learned in the small but vibrant classroom. Topic: Colors, a one-level story, Listening. In a colorful room, a group of children gathered for an art class. The teacher, Mrs. Thompson, asked, "What colors do you like?" Tom eagerly raised his hand and said, "I like red and blue." "That's wonderful, Tom. And how about you, Emily?" Mrs. Thompson asked. "I like pink," Emily replied with a big smile. The teacher then pointed to a brown crayon and asked the class, "Does anyone here like brown?" The students thought for a moment, and Sarah shook her head, saying, "I don't like brown." Mrs. Thompson nodded. "That's okay, Sarah. We all have different likes and dislikes. Now, let's name some colors. What color is the sky?" Johnny answered, "The sky is blue." Mrs. Thompson continued, "And what color is grass?" Tim excitedly raised his hand. "Grass is green." "Great job, Tim. Now let's play a game. I'll hold up a crayon and you tell me what color it is. What color is this crayon? Mrs. Thompson asked, showing a yellow crayon. It's yellow, the children chorused. The teacher smiled and continued. Now, let's express quantity. How many red crayons are there? Mrs. Thompson pointed to a bunch of red crayons on the table. Tom counted and said, "There are 3 red crayons." "Excellent, Tom. And how would you say that in a complete sentence?" Mrs. Thompson asked. Tom thought for a moment and then said, "There are 3 crayons." "Perfect! You are all doing so well," Mrs. Thompson praised. As the art class continued, the room filled with laughter and the vibrant colors of the children's creations. Each child expressed their likes and dislikes, making the classroom a cheerful place filled with the joy of learning about the colors. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Görüşmek üzere. Topic at the playground, A1 level story listening. One sunny day, a group of friends gathered at the playground. The sun was shining and the air was filled with excitement. Tom, a cheerful boy, approached his friends and asked, "Do you dance?" Emily, who loved to dance, replied enthusiastically, "Yes, I do." "That's awesome. How about the rest of you?" Tom asked the others. Tim nodded and said, "I'd like to dance too." Sarah, not much of a dancer, shook her head. "No, I don't dance." "That's okay, Sarah. We all have different likes," Tom reassured her. Looking around at the playground, Tom suggested, "Let's play a game. How about we jump rope?" The friends agreed, and they took turns jumping and laughing. Emily suggested, "Let's also play hide and seek." Everyone joined in, taking turns hiding and seeking. As they played, Tom suggested, "Let's run around the playground." The friends ran and giggled, enjoying the sunny day. Tim then said, "Let's play football." Some friends formed teams, while others played basketball. Sarah decided to sit on the bench and watch, smiling at the lively game. After the sports, Tom suggested, "Let's sing a song together." The friends gathered in a circle and sang their favorite songs. It was a joyful moment filled with laughter and music. Looking at the playground equipment, Emily suggested, "Let's slide down the slide." The friends took turns sliding down, feeling the wind in the hair. Tom then suggested, "Let's walk around the playground and enjoy the fresh air." As they strolled, they talked and shared stories, making the most of their time at the playground. The sun began to set, and they all agreed that it had been a wonderful day of fun and friendship at the playground. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Hoşça kalın. Topic: Body Parts, A1 Level Story Listening, Grade 2, Unit 7. Once upon a time, in a small town, there was a friendly group of children gathered at the park. The sun was shining, and the kids were excited to play together. Tom, a curious boy, pointed to his face and asked, "What is this?" Emily, smiling, replied, "This is my nose." Tim, eager to participate, said, "It's my hand," pointing to his hand. Sarah, pointing to her mouth, said, "This is my mouth." The children giggled and continued playing. As they played, Tom had an idea. "Let's play a game where we show each other our body parts." They all agreed, and Tom said, "Open your eyes." Everyone followed, opening their eyes wide. Then Emily suggested, "Let's point to our heads." The children pointed to their heads, laughing together. Tim, full of energy, said, "Raise your hands!" The kids raised their hands in the air, feeling the warmth of the sun of their fingers. As they continued playing, Sarah proposed, "Let's show our knees." The children bent down, pointing to their knees. Tom, inspired by their fun, suggested, "Touch your toes." The kids reached down, trying to touch their toes and laughing at the challenge. After their playful activities, they sat down on a bench to rest. Emily said, "Let's talk about our body parts. My fingers are tired from playing." Tim added, "My hand feels warm from the sun." Sarah smiled. "I use my mouth a lot while laughing and talking." As the sun began to set, the children headed home, talking about their day filled with laughter and the joy of discovering and sharing their body parts. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Hoşça kalın. Topic: Pets. A one-level story, listening. Grade 2, Unit 8. Once upon a time, in a cozy neighborhood, there were some friends who loved animals. Tom, Emily, and Tim decided to spend their afternoon at the park, where they often saw various pets. As they arrived, Tom looked around and asked, "Where is the cat?" Emily pointed and said, "The cat is under the table over there." Tom and Tim followed her gaze and saw a fluffy cat enjoying a shady spot beneath a picnic table. Excitedly, Tim asked, "Where are the birds?" Emily smiled and said, "The birds are in the tree." They all looked up and saw colorful birds chirping and playing in the branches. As they walked further into the park, Tom noticed something on a nearby car. "Where are the birds now?" he inquired. Emily giggled and answered, "The birds are on the car." The friends sat on a bench and watched the playful pets. Tom, feeling curious, asked, "Where is the cat now?" Tim pointed and said, "The cat is still under the table, taking a little nap." The friends enjoyed the sights and sounds of the park, observing the pets in their different locations. As the sun began to set, they headed home, happy and content from their day, surrounded by the joyous presence of furry and feathered friends. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Topic: Fruit. A one-level story, listening. Grade 2, Unit 9. Once upon a sunny day in a small town, there were three friends, Tom, Emily, and Tim, who decided to have a fruit party in the park. Each friend brought their favorite fruits to share. Tom exclaimed, "I like watermelon." He brought a big juicy watermelon to the party. Emily, with a playful smile, said, "I brought apples." "Show me your favorite fruits, Tim." Tim eagerly pointed to a bunch of grapes and said, "I love grapes." As they sat on a picnic blanket, enjoying the colorful array of fruits, Tom asked, "Does anyone like grapefruit?" Emily wrinkled her nose and said, "I don't like grapefruit." "That's okay, Emily. We all have different likes and dislikes," Tim reassured her. To make the fruit party more fun, Tom suggested, "Let's play a game. Touch the melon, everyone." They all reached out and touched the watermelon, laughing together. Emily then said, "Show the apples, Tim." Tim proudly displayed the apples, and Tom responded, "Sure, those apples look delicious." As they continued their fruit-filled day, Tim wanted to share the joy of eating. He said, "Eat the grapes, everyone." Tom and Emily happily enjoyed the sweet grapes, sharing smiles and stories. Meanwhile, Tom had an idea for a creative activity. "Let's color the lemons," he suggested, taking out some coloring materials. Emily and Tim joined in, coloring vibrant lemons on a piece of paper. The friends marveled at their artistic creations. Before leaving the park, Tom had one last suggestion. "Cut the peach, Emily." Emily took out a peach, sliced it into pieces, and shared them with her friends. As the sun began to set, the three friends left the park, grateful for the simple joys of a fruit-filled day. Each fruit had its unique taste, just like the friendships they shared. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın. Topic: Animals. A one-level story listening. Grade 2, Unit 10. Once upon a time, in a peaceful village, there was a farm with various animals. Tom, a curious boy, loved spending time there, learning about the animals and their abilities. Tom approached a duck and asked, "What can you do, Mr. Duck?" The duck quacked happily and replied, "I am a duck. I can swim." Tom smiled, fascinated by the duck's swimming ability. Nearby, there was a horse named Rosie. Tom inquired, "What about you, Rosie? What can you do?" Rosie neighed proudly. "I am a horse. I can run." Tom admired Rosie's speed and agility. In the corner of the farm, there were playful monkeys swinging from the trees. Tom wondered aloud, "Can monkeys jump?" One of the monkeys, perched on a branch, nodded energetically. "Yes, we can jump," it exclaimed. Curious about larger animals, Tom approached the elephant and asked, "Can elephants run?" The elephant trumpeted joyfully, "Yes, we can run." Tom marveled at the gentle giant's ability to move swiftly. Walking by a pond, Tom noticed fish swimming gracefully. He asked, "Can fish swim?" A fish near the surface of the water nodded and replied, "Yes, we can swim." Tom watched the fish glide through the water with ease. As he strolled through the farm, Tom looked up at the sky and noticed birds soaring high above. He smiled and said, "Birds can fly." In the barn, there were chickens pecking at grains. Tom approached one and asked, "Can you jump?" The chicken flapped its wings and answered, "Yes, I can jump." Tom chuckled at the chicken's small jumps. Before leaving the farm, Tom saw a donkey in the pasture. He patted its head and said, "I like donkeys. You are a friendly donkey." As he headed home, Tom remembered the animals and their unique abilities. Grateful for the wonderful day spent among his furry and feathered friends. However, he also admitted, "I don't like spiders. They are a little scary." With a content heart, Tom looked forward to more adventures at the farm with the animals he liked. Kanalıma abone olmayı unutmayın.